So I'm going to admit this isn't a totally start from nothing scenario. Just like drumming, I'd banged on the drums a few times before, but cumulatively maybe only like 10-20 times before I started the drumming series. Running, I'd say, is even less of a start from nothing scenario, because I ran in middle school track. Never really went anywhere with that. I ended up doing sprints. Not sure if it was the right choice. It's just the thing that I was best at right off the bat. It doesn't really matter. I moved on to tennis in high school and kind of thought I didn't like running because, I mean, quite a while ago I realized that, you know, when I did middle school track, they make you run 2 miles on like the second day after running 1 mile the first day, just to kind of see where you are at. And the fact is that I was not ready to run 2 miles, and it felt awful, and I could barely move the next days, and I didn't get to do pole vault because of that, and pole vault was what I really wanted to do. So I was kind of like, oh, running sucks. I guess I'll just do sprints because, you know, anyone can run 100 meters. And yeah, I was consistently like top 3 runners in the middle school, but I would never place in events. Sometimes I'd get like 4th place. I'm pretty sure I never got 3rd or better in middle school. And so I didn't run for a long time. And then about 6 years ago, when I was 26, I got into running in a much more healthy way because I was living close to a really good friend who was into running. And he kind of, you know, let me work up at my pace. And I realized that once you break through that wall, running long distances is really fun. But you gotta let yourself be bad at first. There were times I'd go out to go for a run, you know, nothing like really long, just like a 1-2 mile run. And I'd get a quarter or half mile in, I'd have to walk. And, you know, I got a little discouraged, but then I told myself, this is okay. Because in theory, I should be getting stronger every time I attempt and go to my max. And I was right. And at the end of that few months that I spent running, I ran 6 miles strong. I didn't even set out to run 6 miles. I set out to run 3 miles, and I felt good at the end of it, so I doubled it. And I felt great the whole time, and I was running strong. Then I had an injury that is still actually kind of bothers me sometimes. Although I think I pretty much recovered from the first one and did almost the same thing again. So what I did was, the first time what I did, and the second time it's similar, I guess I didn't learn. What I did was sprinted pretty long distance actually, wearing these brand new barefoot shoes that I wasn't used to yet. And I think, I'm not gonna say that the barefoot shoes were the problem. I'm gonna say that like all out sprinting when I hadn't really trained or ran at that speed at all, just all out sprinting, a distance that my lungs were ready for. I don't think my ankles were. I like messed up my Achilles tendon, and I'm not positive it ever healed exactly right. And then, like last winter, for some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to run barefoot. Literally, I started in the fall, so it kind of snuck up on me. But then eventually I was running barefoot on like rocky trails in the winter. And one morning, I also didn't normally run in the mornings. I usually run at like 5 p.m. And then one morning I ran first thing after I got up, and I actually heard a pop in my left ankle. And it wasn't really in the back where the Achilles tendon was, it was on the side. And that one still hurts a little bit almost all the time. It usually feels pretty okay until I run. So, long story short, which I guess is what I intended to do. Long story short is that I've run a few times in my life, and been running on and off through this past summer. Didn't really run again in the fall, and got a little bit of encouragement on the Drummer Every Day series. Someone said I was progressing pretty fast, so I really like running. Really like the idea of having a YouTube channel and making all my money through it, I'm gonna be honest. And I also really like the premise of like just doing something for a little bit every day. And not really, like just do the process. And don't really even have any goals or whatever, just the goal is to just do it every day. And I think that, to get on a soapbox here for a minute, I think we spend hours of time every day doing things that never really add up to anything. And we kind of don't realize how little time it actually takes to do something that will add up to something. In like a couple of years. And that feels a little bit discouraging sometimes. But that's a couple of years from now. But, so what if you don't do it? A couple of years from now it's still going to come anyway. But you're not going to have the results of, 10 minutes a day spent running, 10 minutes a day spent drumming, 10 minutes a day spent practicing the language, whatever else it is. It's like, it almost feels inconsequential, like, at this point in my life, so what if I know another language? I've lost a lot of the motivation for that, and I think part of that's just age-related depression that everybody struggles with and getting older, and I wish I'd done this 10 years ago, but it doesn't matter anymore. But the fact is, if I spend 10 minutes a day practicing a language, 2 years from now, I'll probably be able to communicate decently in that language, and without really sacrificing anything, because that's just 10 minutes I probably would have spent like scrolling on Facebook. So there's like no loss but a real gain. So like, oh well that I didn't do it sooner, why not do it now? So all right, day one of runner every day. I felt, oh, another side note, I really like, I think this is the endless wall trail. I might as well just, no, this was the climbing side. I need to go back. So I really like scrambling and running on rocks and boulders and what used to be called back when I was like a teenager was actually referred to as bouldering, I think. But it's basically just like jumping from rock to rock and running on rocks and stuff. And now bouldering means like, climbing not very high stuff that you could not have to use ropes on, even if you're kind of a novice. So anyways, I'll just call it rock running. I really like rock running. It's really energizing to me. I feel like I have more energy running through, challenging terrain, because it's really engaging as opposed to just like running down the road. So as much as possible, that will be the focus of this video series. When I was like younger, like a teenager, we used to go on family vacations, and I felt like I could run forever on these rocky, steep trails, including uphill, and I could like outpace everybody I knew by a long shot running uphill. Maybe that's just because I didn't know anyone who was a real runner, but I say it a little bit facetiously, because like, what's a real runner? Just someone who's, there's all sorts of levels of ability. So I'm not a real navigator though. So, maybe just because I didn't know anyone who's at a high level of ability, I felt really awesome. Or maybe I was pretty good. But I do know that I feel this energy running up steep trails. And there have been times in my life where I felt like I could keep a pretty good pace. Almost just feeding off that energy. And running up that trail just then, didn't hold true quite as much. I was super winded. But day one, that's my report on day one. And I think the real victory is not feeling winded. It's just the fact that I did it, and now I'm totally lost in the new River Gorge.